of women in sport.
This is episode 16 of the FAB podcast on WiSP Sports Radio. WiSP Sports Radio is brought to you by Hyland's Earache Drops.
Have you been diagnosed with an earache by a physician? For natural relief due to earache pain, fever, irritability, and sleeplessness, try Hyland's homeopathic earache drops and tablets. Hyland's has been trusted for generations to provide safe, effective homeopathic medicines for all members of the family. There's no alcohol and no sting. You can get back to doing what you love. Go to hylands.com/ear-pain to find a retailer near you. That's hylands.com/ear-pain. Claims are based on traditional homeopathic practice, not accepted medical evidence. Not FDA evaluated. Read and follow label directions.
Excuse me.
The FAB podcast is the weekly show brought to you by Females in Athletic Business for women in the sports business, where we believe that women in sport deserve equal coverage. Welcome to this week's episode. My name is Kristen Ray, and I am the founder of Females in Athletic Business and one of your hosts of the FAB podcast. We are continuing our social media for your career series today, so we are welcoming back Caroline Drake of Blossom Social Media. Welcome back, Caroline.
Hi, Kristen.
Thanks so much for coming back with us. So, Caroline, if our listeners don't remember, we last spoke with Caroline in the spring about how best to use LinkedIn to promote our careers in sports and our personal brands. So today we're going to talk with her about how to use Twitter to keep our personal brands up to date and current. So let's start by asking the most basic question regarding Twitter for our careers, which is kind of what is the main advantage to using Twitter to kind of promote ourselves and our careers versus other social media sources, Caroline?
Well, Kristen, I think Twitter's amazing for building relationships and having conversations in your chosen sport. It can take you straight to decision makers and really raise your profile and show your passion and your expertise. And you can build contacts. It means that you can keep up to date easily with what's happening, and also your updates will help others to do this. And I love Twitter. It's so much fun.
Well, I'm very up and down on Twitter, as I think you remember probably from last time we spoke. I would say slightly less connected on social media than most people in their, we'll say, lower to mid 30s. So I'm going to try to speak for everyone on the podcast because I know that our listeners are, at very different places in their careers. So if we're not on Twitter already, or we're beginners on Twitter, what is a good way to come up with a Twitter handle to make sure that we have something that represents us, but is, recognizable? Like, how do you come up with a solid Twitter handle, knowing that this is supposed to be based on focusing our followers or our messages on our careers in sports?
Well, I think you were quite right there, Kristen. Keep it recognizable. Really in line with your other branding, so your name or your business name. Link it in with a sport if you're specialising in a particular sport. And also keep it professional. And I would always try and use something for others that they will remember easily so that they can use it in their own tweets. If it's complicated, people won't tag you because they don't remember your Twitter handle. So keep it simple, don't overthink it, and keep it in line with all your branding. If you have a website or LinkedIn profile, anything, just keep it in those lines.
And then would you say, just straying away from Twitter for just a hot second, would you say that if we are trying to kind of start our presence on social media for our career, like if we're going to have a handle on Instagram and all of that, I think what you're getting at is try to make them all the same or as close to each other as possible?
Yes, sometimes you just can't keep it the same, but definitely keep it as close as possible so that people recognise you wherever they touch base with you, wherever that is. So yeah, keep it all the same.
And it would be easier at that point to, so plus it would make it easier to give that information out if you were able to say, follow us on all social media at FabSports.org instead of having to list 3 different ones, if possible. And like you said, it won't always be possible to make them all the same. So talk to us a little bit about what images or information to put on our Twitter header, and also what information to put in the bio, because those are things that they make you do, not make you do, but most think that you want to do them when you're setting up your Twitter. You don't want to leave it blank. You don't want to have that egg picture, because that's not going to do anything for you. But if you're having trouble deciding or designing, where do we start with that in terms of making sure that it's professional, but also reflective of our brand or our image?
Okay, yeah, you're right about the egg. People often don't follow egg images, so it's really important to have a picture. And going back to your personal brand, I would keep all those images the same across, so that people, again, they recognise you wherever they touch base with you. As I think most of our listeners probably is a personal brand, so a photograph, a well taken quality photograph is perfect for the bio picture, and then the cover image may be you involved in your sport or whatever you're seeking to promote in your personal brand. Your Twitter bio is fully searchable, so that people can type in a search and you will come up. So my tips for that would be include a keyword or 3 if possible, and also think about how you would help others achieve their aims. For example, I help these people achieve this by doing this. But also, we don't want a bland Twitter profile. Twitter's a fun platform, and have your personality shine through if you can. So if you love running in the rain, put that in too. It just draws people's attention and makes you stand out from other bland profiles. And also, I would use your location. However narrow or broad, if you have it done to your town or your state, whichever, but just the location, just again, it just helps that bit of personality that you're a real person. But you can have a little bit of fun and just make it personal about you.
So I liked what you said about keywords. So I guess I hadn't thought or didn't know that they were searchable like that. So if you are a post grad who's looking for work in basketball operations, maybe you put, Michigan State grad, passionate about basketball operations, loves to, and then put in a hobby. And that way, if someone's trying to hire someone for operations, they can quickly find operations, people who are interested in operations. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about when you're talking about searchable words?
Yes, so if basketball is your field, then definitely include that word in. And really less about you and how about you can help other people. So I'm just trying to think of an example of what a basketball operations manager would do. But say you're a children's soccer coach, because that's kind of what I know about. And I would put something like, I help children enjoy soccer through fun training, or something around those areas.
Okay, so maybe you would say, looking to provide a college level basketball program with my training expertise and my history with travel planning.
And then maybe you could even just throw in like your favorite basketball team, or I don't know, your particular favorite part of basketball play, something that just says something about you and shows your passion.
Okay, so professional, but also with maybe a few of your personality quirks that shine through.
Yes. There's loads of like boring professional profiles out there, and you want someone to like stop and say, hey, she sounds interesting.
So it's not only important to be searchable, but also once you've applied for those jobs, it's a pretty good shot these days that someone's going to look on your Twitter, A, to make sure you're professional, B, just to learn more about you, maybe before they call you for an interview or before you come in for that interview. So don't forget, not only is it trying to get you noticed, but also it's trying to get you a job. So there's a lot of different moments in a career search process or a career building process where people might be accessing your Twitter. So, Caroline, some women in our industry that I happen to follow, they post several times a day. So help us kind of decide what is a good goal for posting. And if we don't always have something super relevant that's original to say, like in our career or our lives, what are some other things that we can post or retweet to make sure that our Twitter is active, but that it also appears to be relevant for our career and for the sports industry?
Okay, well, I would aim to post. Don't let this scare you, because I will share how I do it. A minimum of 5 times a day, up to some people post once an hour. But Twitter's a really fast-moving platform, and tweets only last around 14 minutes. So can you see how once a day might not be enough?
Yes, and it makes me tired just thinking about it.
Yeah, for a professional account, I would think about the things that your audience tweets about and what they're interested in. For example, you're a triathlon coach. Your followers are likely to be eager to hear news about triathlon, swimming, cycling, running, but also they'll be really keen to hear about recovery, nutrition and equipment. Keep an eye on trending hashtags too, national days and events. If you're golf, then, there's big golf coming up. So again, what are the people that you want to reach? What are they really interested in? What are their passions? And my top tip for retweeting, which is like sharing a tweet, is to not just hit that retweet button, but to actually add your own comment and add value. So because it personalizes it as well as adding value. What's your opinion on an article? Is there something particular it says that you want to highlight? Again, that's bringing through your personality and also showing your expertise in that area.
So while it might be a lot easier just to hit the retweet button, challenge yourself to take the extra step to do that quote retweet and put some personality or some opinion onto something so that you are leaving your mark if you're taking the time to post. So that's good advice. So you mentioned that you have a way to kind of make this easier. I'm confident, based on some things that my students tell me, that there are some apps or some programs that can help us be more efficient or cut down on the time it takes to post every day, like possibly being able to schedule posts in advance. I believe that, I have my social media team for my organization and for this podcast, it does that for me on a regular basis. So talk about what those apps might be. Do you know if there are free versions so that we can possibly, take advantage of them without there being any cost? What advice do you have for us with that?
Okay, well, yes, you're right. And I promised some ideas on saving time on Twitter. You'd have time for nothing else if you live tweeted 5 times a day. Firstly, a scheduling tool like Buffer or Hootsuite means that you can share your blogs, interesting articles, videos and news. And the good news is for just one account, they have free offers. There's lots of other scheduling tools around, but those two are the most popular, and try them both and see which works for you. They've got different interfaces. It's fine to repeat something a few times as well, a week or so apart. Be a waste of a good content. Say you've written a blog or taken a video, and it would be a waste to use that only once. So that's fine to keep using it. Secondly, well, no, it's only been there for 14 minutes before. Yeah.
Because you don't really know who's seen it, right, yet? So what are the chances if you post something on a... Okay, so it's not a crime to post something once and then maybe a week or so again post it if you think it's valuable content, because you can't guarantee that, everybody who you're targeting saw it the first time.
Yes, and I've checked and done some research on this, and there's no difference in engagement between something I posted the first time and something I've posted subsequently as well. So it's absolutely fine. It's normal on Twitter. My second tip is to create Twitter lists for prioritizing people you follow. I don't know if you do this, Kristen, but I have lists for networking contents, ideal clients, influencers. And then instead of being overwhelmed by Twitter, because let's face it, if you look at your feed on Twitter, sometimes there's so much information there and you think, how can I ever keep up with this? Well, just keep up with the people that are relevant to you. And then say take ideal clients. These are the people that I'd really like to work with. I go to that list and I retweet and reply and engage with those people. Like we said at the beginning, Twitter's brilliant for building relationships, and Twitter lists really help you do that. And then lastly, I create Google alerts for topics of interest, and this gives me timely news and content to post so that when I am scheduling, I'm not rummaging around finding things to post, because if something takes a lot of time for you to do, then it tends to not get done, because let's face it, we're all busy and we've got lots of things to do. But creating content and then saving it in a file means that once a week, say, the time that you've allocated for scheduling, it's all there.
Yeah, and I've learned that even for the stuff that I want to post on social media for that is specifically regarding the organization or the podcast, that I can work in advance. And that does save me time. Like if I know I'm going to promote the podcast that we're recording today next week, I'll make that graphic a week ahead of time, or even sometimes 2 weeks ahead of time, and put it in the folder for this week so that it's scheduled to come out at the right time, but that I'm not pressuring myself to do it the week that it's due, for instance. So working in advance when you have time for the stuff that you can do in advance is a good tip that I've used. Obviously, you can't work in advance of news or articles that are going to come out. So, but help yourself out with what you can do in advance is something that has helped me stay sane when trying to work on this organization, this podcast, and also have a normal job too. So use as much as many of those tools as possible while also trying to work in advance. So Caroline, talk to us a little bit about some of the practices that maybe you've noticed female professionals on Twitter that make you cringe a little bit when you see it. What are some things to stay away from when we're using Twitter specifically to promote our careers?
Well, I think it's down to your personal brand, but I would consider having 2 accounts if you like to complain. So if you want to complain about service in a local stall, you have strong personal opinions that may alienate your audience, or want to post cute dog photos. Maybe have your own brand that isn't identifiable, that you can do that, and then have your professional one as well. And I do post opinions, but they're linked to my field and they're similar to the opinions of people I would choose to work with. So I think there's a fine line, and some people have really strong opinions. As long as they don't alienate the people that you're trying to reach and damage your personal brand and your professionalism, then opinions are a good thing, aren't they? But if they're extreme views that aren't palatable to a lot of people, then that would damage your personal brand.
That makes complete sense. And I think I see more often than not young people that might be making this mistake. I've talked to a couple of the students that work for me on a couple of occasions, just reminding them, don't forget, these things are, once they're on the internet, they're on the internet forever. And we've said this over and over on the podcast about different things, but what might seem like a popular opinion at the time that you give it may seem unpopular 5-10 years from now when you're looking for another job. So just keeping staying aware, like Caroline said, of how your opinions may come across to the people you're trying to reach now, but also some that you're maybe trying to reach in the future, depending on what might change in your career. So Caroline, what are some good ways to grow followers and some guidelines about how to decide who we should follow in terms of our brand? Because I know, a lot is measured in followers on Twitter. And some people aren't going to follow you if you don't have a lot of followers. So it is kind of important, it seems, to build up followers, but you don't want the wrong kind of followers. And you definitely don't want to be following the wrong people, or else people who may be looking to follow you may be deterred. So what do you have in terms of advice about that?
Okay, well, for your last point, I would say that if you want to see what someone's saying but not follow them, because again, you don't want people to judge you by who you're following, then don't follow them. Just pop them in one of your lists. You don't have to follow someone for them to be in a list. So that's a good way of keeping track of somebody, but no one knowing that you're following them. And I would say, just don't worry too much about growing followers actively. You can buy followers. There's active following and unfollowing programs. But the best thing is that an interesting Twitter feed, retweeting, replying to others, which is key, because if several people have been mentioned in a tweet and you reply, then they all see that. And that all of those things will grow followers easily. I would worry less about growing followers and instead having conversations and engaging with other people. Then your followers will come. And if we sort of think that if you've got 100 really engaged followers who are interested in what you say, and you're following 100 people who you're interested in what they're saying, that's actually more important than 1,000 people who really don't care. So I would focus on having an interesting content and really building relationships and engaging with people more than I would worry about followers.
Yeah, that's good advice. It's easy to get carried away with the numbers that you see on, people. Maybe they're your competitor. You see, somebody who's in the running for the same job as you, and you see all her followers. It's easy to get carried away and want to, stack the deck. But don't forget, it sounds like that Caroline's reminding us that it's a lot of content and quality over, the number. So don't get carried away with that. It's really easy on social media. The thing we do to each other in real life, which is compare ourselves to other people, especially as women. So try to stay away from that as well when we're working on our social media. All right, Caroline, before we go, I want to thank you again for being with us today and helping us kind of either start our Twitter, our career Twitter, or really just reshape it for the better. Thanks for being with us today to do that, but also let our listeners know where they can get in contact with you or where they can follow you if they have any questions about what they might be able to do for themselves on social media.
Okay, well, I would love our listeners to get in contact with me. Just see me on Twitter, which is @growwithblossom, or you're welcome to drop me an email on caroline@growwithblossom.co.uk. Always happy to chat sport and social media. And thank you very much for inviting me along, Kristen. It's been a pleasure.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is WiSP Sports Radio.
It's been my pleasure to have you again. And don't forget, if you haven't listened to our first episode with Caroline, go back onto our webpage, fabsportsorg.com, and check it out because it's worth it too. She really talks about how useful LinkedIn can be for your career search. So check her out on there too. And she talks a little bit about why she's passionate about sports too in that first episode too. So thanks again, Caroline, for being with us. So follow WiSP Sports on social media @WiSP Sports. Please give us a 5-star review on iTunes and help promote coverage of women in sports. Thanks so much for listening and supporting women in sports everywhere. To follow Females in Athletic Business or this podcast, use @FabSportsOrg on social media. The FAB podcast is a co-production of Females in Athletic Business and WiSP. Check out Females in Athletic Business at www.fabsportsorg.com. And please visit our sponsors at hylands.com/ear-pain. Thanks so much for listening this week. We'll be back next week with another episode of the FAB podcast when we're going to continue our series on networking at sports industry events. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.